What's up, guys? Welcome back to the TheSlamDuncan YouTube channel. This is my post-game recap of the Bulls versus Pelicans. The Bulls got the win 128-112, and this was a very fun game for all of Bulls Nation. The United Center is absolutely packed. It was a season opener at the United Center, and it was an absolute great Friday night for Bulls fans as the Bulls got off to what they were supposed to do this season, which was high-octane offense, a lot of transition points, a lot of deflections on the perimeter, a lot of threes. A lot of good stuff in this game. I wanted to kind of break some stuff down, but before we get into it, though, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be doing these a lot this season, as I do think this is a winning season for the Bulls, so be prepared for it all. Leave a comment in the comment section down below about this game, because this was a very fun game for all of Bulls Nation, and I hope a lot of Bulls fans are taking notice here. Just a quick little look at the team stats here. One thing I want to point out is the 32 assists by the Bulls. Now, if you watch my season preview for the Bulls, I said that this team's going to be top 10 in assists this year, and this is the reason why. Like, we have so many guys on this team that are willing to pass the ball, and in a high-octane offense, you get a lot of shots, hence a lot of assists, so keep attention to this. Other thing, too, is the 9 steals. This was very, very good to see as well. The deflections are not in the box score, of course, but we know this Bulls team is very good at getting deflections. Last but not least, look at this right here. 25 free throws taken in this game, which is something we did not see at all last year, right? So one specifically, DeMar DeRozan was getting to the free throw line a lot this game, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. So just keep note of these little things in the team stats, because this is what we were looking for with this Bulls team. But before we get into the film breakdown, just kind of want to give my overall thoughts. First quarter at the beginning was definitely another slow start for this Bulls team. It was also a slow start for the Pelicans. But luckily, even though Zach LaVine missed his first, I believe, 5 shots and did not score a single point until the 5:50 mark of the second quarter, we had DeMar DeRozan basically kind of fill that role as the go-to guy. And this is the reason why DeMar DeRozan's needed on this team. Last season, if Zach LaVine, if he started out 0 for 5 and then scored in the first quarter, we're thinking, oh, this game's over. Like, we're probably down 20 at that point because we needed a scorer, and no one else on that team could really score like Zach unless it was Kobe White on a hot streak, right? And that's not very consistent. So we had DeMar DeRozan come in, and while Zach LaVine's struggling, he scored, I believe, 8 points in the first quarter. Could be wrong about that. But DeMar DeRozan got off, the spark for this team because it was a bit of a slow start initially. The defense for the first quarter, I still thought was very, very impressive. I mean, 17 points for the Pelicans in the first quarter. And I was like, wow, this through 5 quarters, I'm like, man, this Bulls team's defense is looking really, really good. Now, I understand the Pelicans don't have Zion, but you can even think to last year when we were facing an NBA team and the Bulls would still kind of suck, even though, let's say the other team would only had 1 star out, but they had the other. Like, we would still not be very good. But now, we're taking care of this Pelicans team when they don't have their main guy, but they still have B.I. Brandon Ingram is still a very good player, but we were still able to get a really good win against this team. Moving on to the second quarter, I thought the second unit was very, very impressive. I'm really liking DeRozan in the second unit. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk recently about, DeRozan probably doesn't fit with the second unit due to the lack of shooting. But overall, I think DeRozan is the perfect person to run the second unit because, we know that he can handle the offense. He can be the go-to guy when LaVine's on the bench. But number 2, I think that second unit, it's just you need more of a guy that can handle the ball more. And I put more faith in DeRozan's ball handling and play initiating than I do with Zach. A lot of people have been saying, put the ball in Zach's hands because he can shoot the ball more and there's not a lot of spacing with the second unit. But I think Billy Donovan kind of figured out that problem by he put Lonzo Ball with that second unit. He was starting Lonzo Ball in the start of the second quarter and also the start of the fourth quarter, and that really helped that second unit. He did not do that against the Pistons. Now, this is something that we saw in the preseason. We saw Lonzo Ball playing with the second unit a lot, and he would kind of start the second and fourth quarters in preseason, but he didn't do that against the Pistons for some reason. I don't know why, but Donovan decided, let's do it this time, and I think it worked incredibly well. Because what Lonzo brings is more consistent three-point shooting. He would take out Troy Brown Jr. for Lonzo, and while I think Troy Brown Jr. has improved, I think Lonzo's the better three-point shooter, right? And you saw that DeRozan and Lonzo were really leading the offense in that second unit, and it just had more spacing because Caruso's a good shooter. You got now Lonzo out there is a great shooter, and then it's just Javonte Green, Alizé Johnson, and DeRozan, and that's just better spacing overall. And you have more ball handling as well. So I think the second unit, having Lonzo be a part of that second unit is just a much better overall second unit, and I really like seeing it. So good job by Billy Donovan to make that that change for this game. Then after the second unit came out, it was the Zach LaVine show. He put up 20 points in 5 minutes and 50 seconds, which was incredible to watch. And this is what I think the biggest thing I took from that was, like, we saw that Zach did not get off to that great of a start, but you saw that, like, he wasn't pressing so hard because, last season it's like if he's not getting off to the great start, then he's like thinking, oh, I got to get it going. Well, he came into the second quarter and he made his first shot off of a DeRozan drive and kick out to the 3-point line, and LaVine hit a corner 3-point shot. Like, it's not on LaVine to force himself to get a bucket now. It's just he just has to play in the rhythm of the game, and once he gets hot, there's no stopping him, as we saw. So LaVine had an incredible second quarter, got the Bulls out to, I believe, an 18-point lead at halftime. Moving into the third quarter, it was definitely not a great start with the opening unit. Big thing I looked at in the third quarter was Patrick Williams is not playing very well. And I understand Patrick Williams is not 100% right now. He's dealing with a shoulder injury that he got in Detroit. He isn't 100% with his ankle. And also, I believe his conditioning is just not there yet. And I understand that will get fixed in time. But there was definitely some concerning things with the starting unit that started the third quarter. The defense wasn't very great, but mostly I was looking at Patrick Williams. Brandon Ingram, look, I'm a fan of Brandon Ingram. I love his game, but Brandon Ingram in that third quarter got off to a very good start. He was getting easy layups, and I tweeted this out. Follow me on Twitter, by the way. But I tweeted out that Patrick Williams is getting caught up on a lot of cross screens, which is where you tend to see guards kind of do it, where it's like kind of in the middle, like near the paint towards block area, where you'll see a guy in the corner kind of use that screen to get to the middle of the lane. And Brandon Ingram was off ball, was just getting a screen from whichever guard it was, and then it was screening up Patrick Williams a lot, and so Patrick Williams couldn't be alongside him. Then Brandon Ingram would get an easy pass and get an easy layup, and that was really bothering me. I wasn't very happy seeing that. And then we saw the Pelicans kind of start getting back into the game a little bit. Then, of course, the bench unit came in, and everything changed. We saw Javonte Green this game, who we should keep your eye on Javonte Green. As Stacey King calls him, the demolition man, and that's exactly what he was. Like, he comes in with so much energy and just creates havoc on the floor along with Caruso. And that really slowed down the Pelicans' offense again in the third quarter. So good stuff there. We saw Zach LaVine hit 2 long threes in the third quarter as well. It was good to see that the Bulls, while they kind of let the Pelicans back in, they got back out to that big lead, and the Pelicans only won the quarter by 1 point. So good job by the Bulls in the third. Overall, the defense in the third I thought was pretty good. Moving on to the fourth. Incredible start in the fourth quarter. Lonzo Ball checked in again at the start of the fourth quarter. And that second unit absolutely took off. We saw DeMar DeRozan really lead that second unit, and he was hitting a lot of mid-range post shots, which I'm going to show you one in a second here. But the main thing I'm looking at was that defense in that second unit. It's just looking a lot better, man. And we need that second unit. Like, we know that second unit's not exactly that talented. We don't have a lot of scorers out there, right? But we know the guys are going to come in. They're going to bring the intensity on defense and create a bunch of havoc for the opposing team. That's exactly what they did, and we saw them get out in transition. We saw a lot of good ball movement in that second unit as well, and the Bulls basically from that second unit getting out to a 30-point lead basically close out this game. I know we saw the Bulls give up 37 points in the fourth quarter, but that's not too big of a concern because it was a fourth. The game was basically over. But overall, I thought it was a pretty impressive win. Some overall thoughts on the game, not going quarter by quarter here. This is why we brought DeRozan in, right? DeRozan can handle being the go-to guy or leading the offense while Zach LaVine is either doesn't have it going or is either on the bench, right? That's the reason why we brought DeRozan in. and he's so important to this team, and people are just not realizing it. But this is why we brought in DeMar DeRozan. Number 2, Lonzo Ball got a triple-double this game. And this is a great bounce-back game for Lonzo Ball because in that Detroit Pistons game, you could just kind of tell he was hesitant. He looked like he was kind of forcing some things. Like he was forcing a lot of unnecessary passes. But this game right here is the definition of Lonzo Ball, right? He was by far the best player in transition tonight. Great. He was doing really good on defense. We saw him also guard Brandon Ingram a lot of the times, and he was doing a good job on Brandon Ingram. Great overall game from Lonzo Ball. You could argue that he was probably the best player on the court overall for the Bulls this game. I think the last thing I want to talk about is Nikola Vucevic. Vucevic did not have many points. I believe he only had 10, but he was guarding Valanciunas all night, and I honestly think this was a fantastic game from Vucevic, even though he didn't score a lot. Vucevic is going to score. Like, we know that with Vucevic. I'm not concerned about, if he's not hitting a three or he's not really hitting some of his inside shots. Like, that's going to come. But main thing with Vucevic in this game was that we saw him not give Valanciunas that many looks inside. Valanciunas is a pretty decent post-up player, and Vucevic was really botting him up and not letting Valanciunas get to that hook shot. And lastly, I think Vucevic on the pick-and-roll defense was very, very solid tonight. I know people really hate on Vucevic with his defense. I understand he's not a great defender, but because he lacks athleticism and mobility, we have to work with what we have. And with Vucevic, it's all about positioning, right? He needs to be in the right position and not foul guys, which means just get big, go straight up. And he just needs to be aware of where to be. Because if he's in the right position, we have guys now on the perimeter that can make up for his lack of mobility. Guys like Lonzo, Caruso, Javonte Green, these guys are really getting over the screen and recovering back to their man, so it doesn't put Vucevic in a terrible position, right? So I think Vucevic is doing really, really well so far at the start of the season on the defensive end. I know a lot of people are going to say I'm wrong about that, but with Vucevic, again, you can't have high expectations for him. You just can't. He's not that great of a defender. He just has to be in the right position. If he's giving that effort of being in the right position, then I have no issues with them at all. So overall, I think Vucevic, even though he didn't score tonight, he did a really good job making sure containing Valanciunas and containing the pick and roll. So that's all I have of just my overall thoughts in this game. Let's go into the film breakdown here. I want to kind of show a play here that it's just a definition of DeMar DeRozan and why we need him. Bulls are up by 22. This is the second unit that I'm talking about here. As you see, Lonzo and DeRozan, these two guys are going to be leading the second unit, it looks like. And then you have Caruso and Javonte Green over here, and then Alizé Johnson is the big man. So the Bulls really do go small with the second unit. But as you can see, everybody here on the court here is 6'4" or taller. And a lot of these guys have a lot of length. Like Lonzo, Caruso, Green, they're all really lengthy guys, and they're going to break up a lot of passes and cause havoc here. But on the offensive end, you have to kind of think with this lineup out here on the court, like take away DeMar DeRozan, there's not really a guy out here they can really trust to put the ball in the basket, right? That's the reason why DeRozan needs to be in the second unit. And right here, it's just a simple post up. He's got DeRozan because he's so big for a guard. He posts up the smaller guards here, and now I know DeRozan's playing like the power forward position in this lineup, but we see that he can post up smaller perimeter players much more easily, and he just goes down, back down, step back, and he hits a mid-range jumper right in the face, and one. This is DeMar DeRozan at his finest. And again, who do you think the Bulls did not have this last year? This is the reason why DeMar DeRozan is so important to this Bulls team, because Zach LaVine's on the bench right now. So is Nikola Vucevic. I mean, those two guys are, a big part of your offense. But now, you add in DeMar DeRozan, and this is what he can do while those two guys are on the bench. And it's just so important to this Bulls team. So, classic DeMar DeRozan move here. I'm very happy to see DeMar DeRozan have a great game in the home opener. I talked about Vucevic's defense, right? This is a pick and roll on the side I want to show, because the Bulls pick and roll defense on the wing here is a little different than the pick and roll defense at the top of the key. And I'm going to point out what the Bulls do here on the wing, and I'll tell you what they don't do at the top of the key. But I mentioned Vucevic and his positioning in the pick and roll. So right here, as you can see, it's a Devontae Graham, Jonas Valanciunas pick and roll. This is a pretty deadly combo in the pick and roll. I mean, Valanciunas can do a lot of things. He can shoot it basically from anywhere. Devontae Graham, as we saw in this game, is a heck of a shooter. And he's a pretty explosive guard when he wants to be. So you got Lonzo guarding Devontae Graham, and it's a simple pick and roll on the side. But you can see right here with Vucevic, like this is important. Like we're still doing the drop defense. It's always going to be the drop defense under Billy Donovan, right? Unless we get a new center, like a completely different center that is going to be more athletic and can guard guards. But we're still doing the drop defense. And right here, you see Vucevic is not like back here in the paint. This is important. Like Stacey King always mentions, like, you got to step up. You got to step up. And he's right sometimes. And this is in those one of the positions where it's like he is kind of right. Now, I don't want Vucevic to be like up here, like in Devontae Graham's face. That would be a very terrible idea, right? And then that's no longer a drop. So, but right here, though, you're still seeing that the main thing here is Lonzo is forcing Devontae Graham to not be able to take the three-point shot. He's basically forcing Devontae Graham to kind of go into Vucevic as his only option, right? Devontae Graham in this position right now cannot shoot the three-point shot. It is too hard of a shot to take. And that it all starts with the point of attack defense with Lonzo. Then it's then on Vucevic to be in the right position, which is right here. He's not too far back. He's not too far forward. He's in the perfect spot right here. So Devontae Graham can't just drive right around it, but he also just can't pull up for a wide open three. So as you can see here, he does a good job. Now, other thing here is that on the side pick and roll, or the wing pick and roll, you see that Zach LaVine's on the weak side is already kind of coming over. And it's also all three of these guys, really, they're kind of already going towards the paint to kind of rotate over. Now, when we look at the top of the key pick and roll defense, you don't see that very often. You kind of just see the guys on the weak side or just guys guarding off ball. They kind of stay home because we don't want to give up an easy three-point shot, right? But on the wing, we're willing to kind of cheat over a little bit or pre-rotate while the pick and roll is happening. Now, good hands by Vucevic right here. He got the steal, which is a poor pass by Devontae Graham. It was a little too late. Also, Valanciunas wasn't ready. So Vucevic was able to read it in good position and poke the ball out, which if Vucevic is not in this position, he doesn't get this steal, right? And it's also on Lonzo to force Devontae Graham to not be able to take that shot, and also then Vucevic wouldn't get this steal. So good job overall with this pick and roll defense, and hopefully this continues because we saw in a graphic in the game that the Bulls pick and roll defense last year was 30th in the league. And again, LaVine is already cheating over, right? This is what you're supposed to do. If the big man does get the ball on the roll, you see LaVine's already in help position to come on over and not let Valanciunas get an easy dunk. So this is the pick and roll defense I'm talking about with Vucevic, and I think he has really improved in this defensive aspect, and it's a lot to do with the training camp. Like, he didn't have a training camp when he got to the Bulls last season. Now he got a training camp under the Billy Donovan system, and now he knows what to do a lot better, which is good to see. Last but not least, while the Bulls got a great win, I cannot, just go through this video without kind of pointing out a flaw. And that's, again, I just hope Patrick Williams is, mentally all right, because I can kind of tell he's not physically 100%. He hit some pretty good shots. He hit a corner three, like right over here, actually. He hit a mid-range shot over here as well. But this right here was just overall bad defense with Patrick Williams. And it's also, it kind of shows why this Bulls team needs to communicate. Right here, this is a Devontae Graham setting a screen for Brandon Ingram. This is basically a 3-1 pick and roll. And right here, this should be an easy switch, right? And now, I don't know if Lonzo was yelling switch to Patrick Williams, but Patrick Williams needs to be aware, right? So this could technically be on Lonzo here, but it's also on Patrick Williams to understand, like, what defense are we running here on the perimeter. It looks like Lonzo's yelling stuff here, so I would almost guess it's on Patrick Williams for just not paying attention. But as you can see right here, Patrick Williams didn't switch. This is an easy switch. Lonzo at 6'6" can easily guard Brandon Ingram, and we saw that tonight. And this needs to be an easy switch. This is something I pointed out last game against Detroit when DeMar DeRozan was screaming switch at Alizé Johnson, and Alizé Johnson just was standing there not really doing anything. So hopefully the defensive communication can get better here. And maybe it's not just maybe like the guys are talking, which it looked like Lonzo was talking right here. And I'm seeing guys talking, which is good. I mean, Vucevic is really talkative when you watch the game. But the guys that are involved in the screen or getting picked, they need to be paying attention and listening to what the guy that's saying the screen or whoever is guarding the screener is saying to them. So just overall communication breakdown. and it's at least an easy wide-open three for Javonte Graham, which can't happen. He's too good of a shooter. So, and I did mention earlier in this video that Patrick Williams did kind of have a little bit, like, he just wasn't doing very good in the third quarter against Brandon Ingram. He also didn't do that good against Jeremy Grant. So, looking forward to this Detroit Piston game, I hope he's paying attention to, the film breakdown, which he should be watching film, but also number two, just maybe figure it out with his teammates of what needs to be said to him to make sure that he understands the defensive scheme and who's screening and should he switch or not or go over the screen or not. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Bulls play against the Pistons tomorrow. Hopefully the Bulls start off the season 3-0. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.